that we Latinos are very narrow-minded. And this is Tony Wallace speaking, so, take it for what it is. But we tend to be very narrow minded on what being Latino is or is not. That a Latino is mestizo, darker hair, et cetera, et cetera. But waver from that, and then there's always the question. It's interesting. It's become more and more complex as time has gone by, in particular in this country. I'm actually finding a lot of what I've seen in this country now in other countries. Even in Puerto Rico, I see it now, where I never saw it before, right? It's this notion of what being Latino is or is not, right? When I grew up in Puerto Rico, los Puertorriqueños, we were blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and dark-skinned, curly hair, and every hue in between. Mm-hmm. There was no question when people said, "What are you?" "I'm Puerto Rican." "I'm Puerto Rican." "No, but what are you?" "I'm Puerto Rican." I moved back to the mainland. I moved back to where my parents are from, which is Danville, Virginia, southern part of the state. And it was incredibly a difficult time for me because of the fact that in that community, everything was black or white. People were black or white, issues were black or white, et cetera. And here I was, this black kid with a thick Spanish accent, because I used to talk like this all the time. All of a sudden, hold up, wait a minute, you're not black. What are you? Right? Well, my parents are black. No, but you're not. Okay. For obvious reasons, I'm not white either. What little bit back then that the community knew about Latinos, the little bit they knew, they had very limited exposure. And what little they knew, they could only relate to the migrant workers who had come to harvest over the summer, primarily from Mexico, right? And I didn't like them either. So I was just kind of out there. And for the longest time, there was this expectation, and even to this day, there's still some expectation by some, that I'm supposed to pick and choose a side. Right? What are you? Black? Oh, no, you're not black. Because you were born in Bayamón, Puerto Rico. Okay. What are you? Puerto Rican? Oh, no, you're not. Your parents are from Virginia. So then the question became, why do I have to choose? Both of these are very important to me. I had parents who made sure that I knew my Puerto Rican culture as well as my black culture. I grew up on fried chicken and string beans and collard greens. But I also grew up on arroz con pollo y habichuelas, tostones maduros, bacalaitos.
My favorite.
Mine too. My mother never made me choose. She wanted me to embrace all of it. So why is the world asking me to choose? Why can't I embrace it all? It's been quite a journey over the years. I'm very secure in myself now that it doesn't matter, because I'm like, I tell people all the time, it ain't what you call me, it's what I answer to. And so you can call me whatever you want to call, but it doesn't mean I'm going to answer to it, because I don't have to. I tell people all the time when they say, who are you? Well, baby, I'm a gay, black Puerto Rican who embraces all of who he is and has been put on this world to help you to do the same. And you can take that for whatever you want it to be, however you want it to, to manifest itself. That's on you. Not my problem. Because I'm very clear on who I am and what I'm going to do. And so we have got to get past this whole notion of categorizing ourselves to a point where it limits who it is that we are. We are a bunch of things. All of us as individuals are a sum of all of these components. And we should embrace all of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what makes us who we are. And we should support our brothers and sisters as they figure out how they're going to define themselves. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, how are you, the way you define yourself, have an impact on my life? And that's the part that I'm always amazed. Because I've chosen to define myself as X, you get upset. But why? How is that impeding you from living your life? How is me calling myself a gay Black Puerto Rican impeding you from being the beautiful person that you are? That's what I try to do. Help me understand that.
Yeah.
Help me understand. Now, if what I call myself is getting in the way of you living your full life, okay, now let's have a conversation. Let's figure this whole thing out. But if all I'm trying to do is live my life like you're trying to live yours, and the difference is that I call myself a certain thing and you call yourself a certain thing, really? We got to work ourselves up to that kind of a thing where it just becomes such an issue that it divides communities, divides families, divides. Help me understand what is the benefit of that.
What would you say to the Black community who doesn't accept Afro-Latinos? And what would you say to the Latino community who doesn't accept Afro-Latinos? I
would say the same for both sides. Help me, and I've been asking the question, why? What is it? Because you will often find out that they really don't have an answer. I'm just trying to understand. And I always approach difficult conversations like this with the whole notion of, before we have this conversation, Victoria, Jenn, I'm not here to try to convince you that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm not trying to convince you that you're bad and I'm good. I'm just trying to understand. Let's make sure that we're on the same page. I believe that you're a good person, and so am I. We just happen to have a different point of view. And is that a bad thing? Is that a right or wrong thing? No. We're still good people. At the end, when we leave this conversation, you're still a good person, and so am I. Nothing's changed. And so I want to understand what is it that upsets you so much that I consider myself Latino, even though I got Black skin. Right? One of the things that probably bothered me the most throughout the pandemic and throughout the kind of racial equity movement that took place is how Latinos did not see themselves, how Asians did not see themselves in this conversation. They did not see themselves as part of the journey that was taking place. And I had, my brothers and sisters come up to me and said, well, what about me? What about me? And I'm like saying, what do you mean, what about you? Well, my family's from, X, Y, and Z. We went through a lot of discrimination, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's arguing that. I completely agree. But we're not in the conversation. Wait, what? Black Puerto Ricans, Black Dominicans, Haitians, Brazilians, Black Peruvians, Black Mexicans. You don't think that they're over in this country being treated like Black people? You don't think that by supporting them, you're not supporting your community too? Victoria, Jenn, that was hurtful to me. That you thought so little about me that I was in this fight just for a certain group of people. I'm in this thing for everybody. Because I know Black Asians. I know Black Japanese. I know Black Koreans. I know Black Vietnamese who are going through the same thing as I'm going through, who are being treated just as a Black person. They're not even being looked on the Asian side of things. They're being looked as Black people because what they see is what they see. They see Black. And they're not questioning whether you're from Cuba or whether you're from Vietnam or whether you're from Argentina or they're not questioning that. All they see is a Black person. And you don't think that they're not going through all kind of stuff? You don't think that by supporting them, you're not supporting our entire community? Because if Black Cubans are lifted up, the whole Cuban community is lifted up. And for us to not to think that, man, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking to me.
It was very heartbreaking. It was, for sure. Tony, what would be your advice to someone who is Afro-Latino and struggling. They're kind of like in this identity crisis. They feel the pressure to choose. What would be your advice to them?
You just got to be courageous. I mean, I've had to learn to be courageous and, again, just live with this the adage of, I'm not going to let you define who I am. The world can call you all it wants to call you, but you don't have to answer to it. You don't have to acknowledge it. You have to establish who it is that you are going to be, right? And put it out there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me be real. There is a cost for being who you are.
Sure is.
There is a cost for defining how you're going to be. And you have to be okay with that. You have to decide what price you're willing to pay. Because no matter what you decide to do, there is a price to pay. You can define yourself how you want to define yourself, and people will talk about you, do stuff to you, make it difficult. You got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. Or you can do what they want you to do. You be unhappy, live with it, you're paying a price. Mm-hmm. And again, no judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, no judgment. Because look, all of these journeys are hard. And I am not about to judge you because you decide to take a different path than me. I'm going to honor you. I'm going to support you. I might not agree with you. I might even tell you that I don't agree with you. But you will always know, Victoria Jenn, I don't agree with the decisions that you're making, but girl, I got your back. Because this is your life and you got to live it. I got to live my own life. It's hard enough. I can't be living your life and my life too. Yeah. So I'm going to support you, despite the fact that I might not agree with you. And that's going to be okay. And so for all of you who are struggling, first you got to figure out who it is that you are. How are you going to define who it is that you are? What is your mission statement? What is your 8 words? I believe that every mission statement can be said in 8 words.
What's yours?
Embrace my full story, helping you do the same.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to work on my 8-word story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, some people can get it to 7, even 6, which I always get jealous.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get mine down to 6.